Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have lots of you out there, so thank you so much for being here. Um, we are here for a lovely workshop, but first we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk a little bit about our fundraiser for a little bit at the beginning, and then Charlie, you were going to talk a little bit about the rest of the structure of what we're doing today. You have to be off mute in order to do that.
March 2020, forgetting I have to unmute myself. Yeah, we're super excited to be here. Yeah, we came up with the idea for this workshop a couple of months ago, and it's maybe all we've talked about. We're really excited about it. We've got some really awesome Titans here, and we'll learn about what Titans are, if you don't know what that means, pretty shortly, who I didn't let them tell me all of their thoughts on gender euphoria a couple of days ago when we were talking about this workshop, because I want to hear them, all of their ideas. I wanted to be surprised. Not too many spoilers. So, but what I've heard, I'm so excited. So this is going to be really fun, and we're also really excited to just present this as a thought exercise for everybody. Everybody has a gender, or doesn't have a gender, but everyone has some understanding of like, or well, that's not quite the wording I want to use either. Rachel, can you help me out here? You know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying here.
Everybody has experience with gender or lack of gender.
That's right. We specifically were working on that sentence a couple of days ago. We were like, that's not right. Yes, everyone experiences gender. So we're really excited to share this with folks. So a couple of things before we start. Number one, actually, you know what? No, why don't you go through? Yeah, why don't you start us off, Rachel?
All right. So first I wanted to talk a little bit about our fundraiser. This is the closing event for our Give a Spark fundraiser. Lots of sparks make a big light, and all of you out there have been helping support us throughout our fundraiser that started on November 15th. And we have a goal of raising $130,000 for our year-end fundraiser to help raise about a quarter of our operating budget for our 2023 programming. And right now, actually, let me click over here. We are right now at $100,000, $100,371. We are so close to that goal. We're hoping that we can hit that goal tonight. So thank you to everybody who's here. If you can help out, please go to transfamilies.org/donate and give to the fundraiser and watch that thermometer go up and up and up, because that's what we're hoping to do. So that's a little bit about what we're doing this for. This is an event, yes, for us to explore gender euphoria and gender, but also we're raising funds for our next year's programming, which is super, super exciting. We've got all of our wonderful programming, support for parents with trans youth, as well as our youth community space. And so we've got all of that and more coming in the next year, which I'll talk about a little more later on. But first, I want to introduce a couple people that are here to share just some of their joy for the season. People that are on our staff. We've got Jade, who's here. Jade is our operations specialist. Is that right? Okay, I got it right. Okay. And then Odetta down there is our events manager, and they're both going to share a little bit about some of the favorite things or joys of the holiday that they want to share with us. So go ahead. Jade and Odetta, yay. Did I say my name? I don't think I did. I'm Rachel. I also am known as Bickle. Some of you out there know me as Bickle. And I am the development manager. So there, I introduced. Jade, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start. I am just super excited to be here. I am new to the staff, so just my favorite trans families moment is just joining the staff this year, and I'm very excited. But I have heard in the couple months that I've been here, I keep hearing about the Titans. I keep hearing about them and hearing about them. This is the first time I've seen some Titans live, and I am super excited to see you and to be part of the group. And I am just happy to support not only the Titans, but all the Sparks out there. So thank you for having me.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Jade. Did you have any fun moments you'd like to share?
Other than joining the staff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my.
That was your big moment? Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I gave you the full platform to say the things that you wanted to say. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Odetta, I want to hear from you, and I want to see what you're doing.
Hi,
I'm excited.
I'm so excited to be here and happy. And I will echo Jade's sentiments that for sure, since I just started in August, getting hired and seeing the interview team after so many years of not seeing those familiar faces was definitely my favorite moment. And it's because of generous donations from fundraisers. Everything that we do is because of our donors and our volunteers, and we can program things, but we can't do them without the generosity of time and talents and money that comes from all of you fantastic people. So I am personally have a lot of gratitude that you give a spark about trans youth, because that allows me to be here in trans families, and just overall super excited. And yeah, so I could talk about favorite moments, and I think some of you may have seen, and some of you know that in our family we also have a trans youth and have been supported by trans families, and we had a significant loss in our family last January, and so about this time of year, we start to be reminded of that, and it really got me thinking about how grief and holding sadness also goes along with joy and celebration, and we're not just festive people who turn on this happy attitude because there's a certain date on the calendar. That really we're complicated people And we're also really spacious people. So we can hold more than one feeling or thought or idea at a time. And so we're definitely doing that in our house this year. The kids miss their stepdad. I miss my husband. And we've had a lot of joy this year, and we are happy to be together, the three of us. And so we're holding all of that at the same time. And some of you know that I like to curate sacred space. And I think that came up in my video just a little. And we've pretty much filled all the spaces that can be filled. We've got merry and bright. We've got sacred. We've got sacred dark humor. There's a little pagan. There's a little secular. There's a little traditional. And so when I ran across a Yule or winter solstice altar, I was really intrigued by that because I love the idea of holding some extra space or holding intentional space for Yule. The longest night solstice is one of my favorite times of year this year. And so I kept looking around, and I found many blessing jars. And they have like all the components that you might have on a solstice altar or solstice space, intentional space. But they're small and they can go with you or fit anywhere. So when Rachel invited me to come to this and we were connecting today, I thought, I think I have just enough time to run out into the yard and gather most of the things that I need. And first of all, I want to tell you guys that if you're doing any baking and you need whole cloves or whole cinnamon sticks, because those are something that can go into something like this, and I'll tell you more about that. Oh my gosh, they're sold out and they are uber expensive. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe like $9. I don't bake or cook, or I try to avoid all those things. And so, but I'm really happy with what I came up with. So I hope you can see this. So I just used an open vase because I like the idea of what's in here like circulating. Instead of having a lid on it, I want it to fill the environment. And we have a really beautiful cedar tree right outside the window here. And so it was generous and gave me a branch. And then I've got some rosemary, which is always, if you don't have any other kind of spice or herb, but you have rosemary, that is like the uber blessing sacred herb, apparently. It will serve in all occasions. And then I've got some pine cones down here. I have a dried cinnamon stick. I decided not to pay $9 right now for a tiny jar. This one will suffice. I have some pine cones. And then I have my little, these guys, if you're a fire phobe like me, I bet I can't get it out. Can I go? I did. These little guys, so cool. You can leave that on all the time. It's just a little, it's a flameless candle. And I love it because it stays on. You get up early in the morning and it's just, there's that little bit of extra light, and we all need that so much. And then, so you're supposed to, you can literally do this without leaving the house. You're supposed to use Epsom salts because Epsom salts is very purifying, right? And it draws out toxins, and it's just a really great thing to use. So what I ended up using was ginger bath salts because they do have Epsom salts in them. And ginger is an amazing herb, and we could talk about that for longer than anybody wants to hear. But anyway, it smells really great, and it mixes really nice with the rosemary and the cedar. And I can refresh this anytime between now and solstice. And then underneath the candle, I put a little bit of, I meant to bring it in with me, pine tree oil. It's an essential oil. And so I've got that nice smell without the mess, and also it's just faster than going out and trying to cut more greenery. So I've got that, and I've got a little votive in there because one of the colors of Yule is gold. So that's in there too, that little votive. I don't think you can see that or not, but it's got gold like fir tree etchings on it. So just trying to draw in all these components. the last thing I want to tell you about, because for me it's super magical, and that's what I love about this project. You can make this anything you want it to be. It can be whatever kind of sacred space you want to hold. And that's, I mean, that's the best possible outcome. So out the window here, I feed a variety of different birds, and I hand feed a couple of them. They've been really honoring and let me hand feed them and trusted me. And sometime over the summer, I stepped out onto the deck, and right by the deck door on the banister was a tiny pile of sunflower seed, and a little bit far away from the feeder, and I couldn't figure out how it got there, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And then um, maybe another month later, there was another little pile in the exact same place, and I'm like, okay, someone's leaving me a gift. I don't know who, but I need to accept this. It needs to be acknowledged. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but because solstice and the longest night is such a magical time, I put those little sunflower seeds that were gifted to me in my blessing Yuletide jar thing. You know, it doesn't even need a name. If you make one, you know what it means to you, and you can call it whatever you want. So, yeah, I'm just really happy with this, and I'm going to put it by my Advent candle wreath, and we have a big solstice candle that I won't go into as much detail, but it's going to look really beautiful there. So thanks, you guys, for letting me share this with you, and I hope that it might inspire you to do something really similar for your own spaces.
Oh, that's so cool.
That
I
was like
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Um, it's beautiful.
that was like that was like real life Pinterest. That was perfect. Thank
It,
you.
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Well, thank,
that was very cool.
well, thank you both of you so much, Odetta and Jade. Two of our newest staff members. So happy that you were able to make it, and I can't wait to talk to you later about how your workshop goes.
Yep. Thanks, you guys, for letting us crash. It's always an honor when we get to hang out with the Titans.
Yep. Bye. Thank you.
All right, cool beans. Well, that was a pleasure. Okay, great.
So the next thing we were going to do is just talk a little bit about, that we have youth leaders here with us, and just talk a little bit about what Titan is, and what that means to trans families. Titan is a leadership program that was launched 4 years ago, I believe it was. I think it was about 4 years ago, and it was a program to try and reach out to trans non-binary youth and help build leadership skills, and create community together, help everyone build up confidence and just the ability to do public speaking, to learn how to do programming and help facilitate things like that. So right now, actually, I think yesterday, the Titan application opened for 2023. So you can go to transfamilies.org/Titans. You can see it there across the bottom of the screen if you're interested in applying to be a Titan. It gives you a little bit more information for our 2023 cohort. And the people that we have joining us tonight are from our 2022 cohort. We love that they are here. And one last thing I wanted to mention, just about our youth programming in general, is that we do also have a youth community space that is hosted on Discord, that has around 100 or so trans non-binary youth that are in there connecting and sharing art and playing games and just being in a community that we can all support each other. And it's a moderated space. I'm one of the moderators, admins in that space, and we have a bunch of moderators to help make it the safest space. And it's really a wonderful place. I love being there, and I love the youth that are there. I know some of you are watching right now, so shout out to all of you. that are over there watching this workshop. Charlie, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. My Wi-Fi was being weird, but now it seems fine. I don't know. I might drop out. I'm so sorry, but we're gonna get through it. I'll be right back, and everyone here is great, so we can definitely handle it. Okay, well, cool beans. So we're ready to start. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, perfect. So for folks that are not here, the 6 of us, I'm going to send you to. You can either go to this page on our website, or I'm also about to drop the link directly to the PDF that we're going to be looking at actually in the chat. So if you don't want to type anything, or you want to go directly to the PDF, which you definitely do, then you can go ahead and click the, oh no, I just did that. Okay, great. Yep, so in the comments on Facebook and YouTube, you have a PDF, or you can go to transfamilies.org/euphoria and then scroll down to the bottom, and that will show, sorry, that will, they'll get to the PDF. So, oh, I thought Rachel was going to be here. I was like, where did Rachel go? But they're just not. Okay, it's just the 5 of us. Okay, the 5 of us, not the 6 of us. All right, great. So I'm not a Titan. Rachel's back. You can be here if you want to. I just didn't know.
I thought I wasn't going to be here. I could be here. I'm happy to be here.
Whatever you want. Okay, everyone's welcome. Okay, great. So there's a bit of a delay, of course, between us speaking and it actually getting to Facebook and YouTube. So I think it's about like 15, 30 seconds or something. So we're going to ask for like a little bit of for quite a bit of participation actually, but there's going to be kind of a funny delay. What else should I mention? Okay, so there are a couple of different ways that you can work with us on this workshop, or fill out the worksheet for this workshop. Number one, you can just open the PDF and you can actually just type directly into the PDF. Number two, you could print it out if you are like me and have and love a printer. I love my printer. Or you can just write along, totally fine, and we'll be reading the questions out loud, and you can just think about it. So so everyone has the PDF up by now, or at least you're going to follow along with audio. And if you are on Facebook or YouTube, there are also options to turn on captions as well, physically on those platforms. So great. So great. So this worksheet is called "Understanding Gender Euphoria: A Workshop for Everyone," because everyone has experiences gender, right? And so we just really wanted to sort of look more into that. So the first concept we're going to look at is gender identity. So a lot of people also call gender identity just gender. So we're going to kind of use both of those interchangeably for a lot of this. But so gender identity or gender is one's internal understanding as male, female, a blend of both, or neither. And so I'm going to ask Jordan if you could answer this first question first. So Jordan, the question is, consider your own gender. Do you identify as male, female, or something else?
All right. Thanks, Charlie. So I've never really been comfortable with being seen as female, but as I came to terms with the fact that I'm transgender, I wasn't really comfortable with being seen as a transgender male. And so now I say that I'm non-binary, and I like to think that my gender identity is somewhere in between male and female.
You know what I really like about the way that you answer that question, Jordan, is that in my life too, I think my gender has changed quite a bit. And it's not just trans and non-binary people whose genders are different. So well, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead. Okay, Casper, would you like to answer this question as well? What is your gender? How do you identify?
Sure. I usually use the label genderqueer because it's vague and a lot of people don't know what it means, which is perfect. I've never had even when I was a little kid, I've never had a very strong sense of, yeah, I'm definitely fit in this group. And eventually I figured out, oh, you can be trans, that's a thing. And I didn't enjoy how I was perceived, so I changed it. And my gender is everything and nothing at the same time.
Everything and nothing all at the same time. Ah, what a great sentence. Kyoko, what do you think?
Yeah, I felt echoing those sentiments. Yeah, I feel like very similar. I guess just put simply, I would say I'm non-binary, but I think I don't know. It's something different and more and less at the same time. It's like I'm neither a boy or a girl, and I'm both at the same time and nothing, and just kind of existing more than anything, as opposed to experiencing.
I love it. Thank you. Carmela.
Kind of like Jordan, I also have never really felt comfortable being seen as like female or a woman. So for now, I'm just going as male. But I don't think I really fit in like one hard view of what a man is and one hard view of what the other side is. So I'm definitely somewhere in between, or like just not in the line. I'm just kind of doing my own thing, honestly. But for now, I'm just going as male because that's the closest to what I see myself as in the spectrum. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And my Wi-Fi just went a little silly. So hopefully we're still here, but I think we're good. So of course, folks at home, we would also love for you to write out in your worksheet how you identify. So throughout this whole thing, we'll be asking more. So I think we're going to go to the next question, though.
Wait, no.
You want to go?
No, I don't want to. I can go, yeah, but we just wanted to remind people that if you want to share your answers, you can put them in the comments, but we may read them out loud. So if you don't want us to read your answers out loud, you can either put that next to the comment that you don't want us to read it out loud, or just don't put it in a comment. So I just wanted to remind everyone who's watching that if you want to share, we'd love to hear and we'd love to talk about it. Also, I just wanted to share my gender because my gender's it's interesting how it flows in with everybody else's in some senses. I use trans, non-binary, genderqueer, gender bereft as my gender words. Gender bereft being that I don't know what my gender is. I know that it's not one of the binary genders, and the fact that I can't figure out what it is disturbs me, and so I am gender bereft. So I wanted to just share that too.
One of the reasons that I really like, and it's not when Rachel says that they use those terms, like they really do. I've heard them say that 17,000 times, not maybe four.
10,472, I think. Uh-oh, we may have lost Charlie. Charlie's Wi-Fi's being weird. So Charlie's frozen. We're gonna have to pick it up. Yeah, I have just identified with those gender words for a long time. Go ahead, Charlie. Are you back? You're moving again.
I know. I'm going to switch Wi-Fi connections. But while I'm out, I would love to say that in the meantime, if folks want to type in the answer, if they would like, into the chat about how they consider their gender. But I'm also curious if listening to these 5 people that have just spoken has brought up any new feelings for folks that are filling this out for the first time. And I'm going to be right back. We'll see what happens. All right.
Yeah, let's see. Does anybody out there have any different thoughts about gender? Another thing I use to describe my gender is that I am a swirling purple glittery galaxy making a shruggy gesture. That's my gender.
I love your way with the words.
It just describes it so well.
It does.
I actually have a shirt that says my gender is a shrug with the shrug on it. I love it. So yeah, we were if you're out there and you do want to share anything about your gender and how you view that, what you think about it, what your thoughts are, we would love to hear. And if you don't want to share, that's totally fine too. We can move on to the next question in the form. And I don't have the same notes, so I can't remember who was starting this one.
I was gonna.
Okay. Yay. Casper, do you have any childhood memories of doing something stereotypically male or female, whether it matched your gender or not. How did others react, and how did you feel?
It's not so much of doing, more of observing when other people did, but anything where there was like a strong expectation of, or rule really, of you have to do it this way if you're a boy, but this way if you're a girl. And the easiest example I can think of is I was probably about 7, let's say, and at the park with some other kids. It was summer, and just being really confused. Like, so it's okay if there's like little boys running around and they take their shirt off because it's hot out, but it's not if a little girl does it. But is there a difference? That there's a difference? Why isn't everybody allowed to do that? It seems more comfortable. It's hot out.
Absolutely. I had some of those same issues too as a kid. Charlie, are you back with us? Or are you just beautifully frozen? I don't know. I mean, look at the picture
Somebody
of
get out the
Charlie.
blowtorch and heat him up.
I know. It's lovely. All right, who wants to go next?
I can go, but I also wanted to hold some space because I see Moon answered the previous question in the chat.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
I'll read it out if you don't mind. I'm partially a boy, partially genderqueer, and a little bit in between male and female. And sometimes I'm fluid between them, but mostly all at once. Yeah, and I think that's like such a beautiful answer to the question of gender. And it speaks to just like I don't know, just like the multiplicity of what gender can be, because it can be everything and nothing all at the same time. And just like it is something so much more than this like binary a lot of us have been taught. And there's just so much beauty in seeing beyond that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reading that. And thank you for answering that out there, Moon. We appreciate it. So you wanted to mention on the next part about something that happened when you were young. Kyoko, did you have one for that?
Oh no, I wasn't gonna answer this.
Okay, that's right. Charlie, have we got Charlie back?
I don't know. We'll find out. But you know,
You are back.
I think so. I don't know. We'll find out. I am a twin, and I think a lot about my childhood in that I have a twin cis brother, and I was always really allowed to do everything that he was allowed to do, including wear the clothes that he was growing out of, that I still wear from his middle school days, because he also grew taller and I did not, which is fine, which is kind of a funny thing. But I really I had this experience when I was in kindergarten. I wore a dress to kindergarten. I don't remember being super anti-dress when I was very young, but I did come home and I told my mom that I wasn't going to wear dresses anymore. She told me this later because people could see up my dress when I went on the monkey bars. And so I don't really know if that was like there was more to that or if it was really just sort of utilitarian. I don't know. But my mom said, okay, sure. And I always really appreciated that my family was just very okay with me doing kind of whatever felt right. Well, not all the time, but for the most part, they're great.
We have a person in the comments too saying the whole clothing appropriateness was always puzzling to me. Yeah, like well, who wears what and why, and how much that shifted. And I remember reading books from that were written in the 1800s or mid 1800s, where at one point the person said, and I was making a blanket for the baby and to swaddle the baby in, and since pink is a boy's color, I made it pink because it was a boy. And that got me thinking, like, what is that about? And so I looked into it, and yeah, pink used to be the designated color for boys because it was a strong color, and blue was considered a weak color, and so it was the one for girls. So yeah, that's all arbitrary. Obviously, a lot. Did you say something, Casper?
Oh, the version of that I'd seen was it wasn't really a designated girl color. Am I frozen because everyone else is? Am I back?
Yeah. You are back.
I'm gonna actually switch over to my hotspot, I think. that will be a better connection. That takes
You are
a
back.
minute, but
Well, so while you're looking more into that, Casper, yeah, if folks want to share in the comments, if there were any times that they remember being a young person and thinking about gender at all, maybe if you have siblings of different genders or sexes and you had to wear different things, or maybe one of you was happy about an outfit, and or maybe if the boys got matching shirts and the girls didn't, or something like that, and sort of how you felt about it, we would love folks to share. That. Yeah, someone says the Wi-Fi must be challenging today, and yeah, it seems a little rude. So maybe it'll be better next time. But okay, well, we hope we get Casper back really soon for those thoughts. Does anyone else have anything they would like to share before we keep going? And of course, if the comments, there is a bit of a delay on the comments, and so if we see your comment, we might still talk about it. But just an FYI, there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Any else have any more thoughts on this one? Childhood?
Cool. Originally, I wasn't going to answer this question, but as I was hearing other people talking, I remembered like when I was much younger and a friend of mine had a birthday party. His mom like made matching shirts for everyone. And since it was mostly boys, they all had like blue t-shirts. And then me, my little sister, and our friend who was a girl, we got pink t-shirts. And part of it, I just didn't really understand why we needed to have a different color. And I also kind of felt a little bit of like, why am I getting the pink t-shirt? Like, this doesn't feel right. I want the blue t-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so pumped that you shared. I cannot wait to hear Casper's thoughts when Casper's back someday. Poor Casper. Okay, great. Well, thank you all for sharing. Yeah, there's so many memories that we could talk about, and I want to get sidetracked, but I can't because we got to keep going because we got to finish this worksheet because I want to get to the ending. So that was a little bit about gender identity. Of course, as we mentioned, that can change throughout your life. Some things might feel good some years or days or decades, and sometimes things change. So that's gender identity, and then the next concept we're going to look at is gender expression. And of course, we do want folks to follow along at home if you are willing and able. So if you haven't been writing anything down yet, this one's a good place to start. So this question, so gender expression is how a person expresses gender through their dress, their body language, and more. There's so much to say about this, but gender expression is essentially like how you present yourself to yourself and the world in terms of gender. Again, there's so much to unpack here. I hate that I have to stop talking about this, but there's so much more. So our question that we would like folks to think about is to list a few of the ways that you enjoy expressing your gender. And so some of the examples that you could think of are maybe clothes or hairstyles that you really like, that you feel are gender affirming. Your mannerisms, there are often genders associated with different types of mannerisms. Any other aspects of who you are that you think are gendered? Maybe you go by a nickname that feels more gender appropriate, or kind of all of so many different ways to answer this question. So Kyoko, do you want to start us off talking about some of the ways that you express your gender?
I would love to. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think a big part of my personal gender expression is, excuse my French, gender fuck, which is basically like making my gender and the way like people like perceive me as incomprehensible as possible. So like for me, that just, I don't know, makes me very happy, where it's just like trying to confuse people as much as possible. So like generally I present fairly femme in terms of my dress, but I mean, like, I still have a deep voice, and I think that messes with people, and I love it. Yeah, and I think like another big part of my like expression is like shoes. It sounds kind of like tacky, but like having good shoes is amazing. I have like a pair of like, they're like 5-inch platform like demonias. They make me like 6'3", and I love them.
I really enjoy a lot of what you just said, but something that was resonating with me was sort of talking about how you liked a juxtaposition, and you liked the idea of like making people sort of like think. And one thing that I realized is in the last few years I started to really enjoy the word pink, or the color pink. The word pink is great too. But the color pink, I think I started doing it as like kind of a joke at first, but maybe I think I was just letting myself try out pink in different ways by being like, this is a bit, it's just a joke. But like now I have a lot of pink things, and I just think that my color schemes right now are, there's like a lot of pink, and I really like that juxtaposition for me as well. So yeah, that super resonated with me too. Casper, my friend, you look like you're back.
I am back. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you want to talk about ways that you like to express your gender?
Oh boy, do I. First off,
Okay.
I don't think you'll be able to see it very well. Sorry, my lighting in here is terrible, but this is my favorite blanket. As you can see, it's like, oh, this way. It's very brightly colored. It's very loud. It's very comfortable. And you could draw some symbolism here, but I just like it, and it feels similar to how my gender feels. But how I intentionally express it to other people, sometimes I just wear whatever I want. Sometimes I think of it as putting on costumes that go to different genders, so I can wear the gender for whatever my purpose is. So if I'm gonna go lurk somewhere kind of really sketchy, I might put on the I'm a guy costume, because it seems generally a little bit safer in some circumstances. Sometimes I put on a fun costume. One of my favorites is the polite grandson. Is really fun. When you're around old people, they love it.
Casper,
it's mostly visual, but not all of it's clothing. Some of it's body language. Some of it's the way I talk.
Casper, I love that answer for so many reasons. And so at first I was taking you very literally in terms of like, I was thinking Halloween costumes. And then you were just referring to just sort of presentation as different types of costumes, which was a really a fun way of looking at that, I think, and not incorrect for a lot of people. And it's so interesting that you say costumes, because we just, one of our staffers at Trans Families just wrote a whole blog a few weeks ago, right before Halloween, about how a lot of trans and non-binary youth really resonate with Halloween and really enjoy dressing up. I mean, many kids enjoy dressing up. Like that's not specific to trans and non-binary kids, but that for a lot of trans and non-binary youth, Halloween is a very special type of significance, because it's less likely that you're going to have your gender or your presentation policed by everybody else. Not to say that everyone's going to be able to dress up exactly what they want to dress up as, but there's a special sort of resonance for Halloween, and in the same way of costumes and like trying things on. So I really like that as a concept. Thanks, Casper.
Yeah, I do like that, because especially I think it's a lot less true if you're perceived as a boy by the world. But if everybody thinks of you as a girl and you're like, no, I want to be Spider-Man, that's my favorite character, you can't.
Yeah.
And most of the time your parents will be like, okay, fine, you don't have to be Wonder Woman, you can be Spider-Man. And some people don't get that any other time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, you know what? I'm not going to get on a tangent about trans. No, I will say that I read somebody who works with Spider-Man. I hope this is not misinformation, but I'm pretty sure that I read that one of the creators of Spider-Man, or like someone who was involved in the Spider-Man franchise, was recently talking about how the mask is so important to Spider-Man as a character for the rest of us, because we can all imagine ourselves under that mask. And so it's really funny that you said Spider-Man. That could be applied to a lot of different superheroes, but and costumes, if you will. But I'm getting a little off track, but it was kind of a fun fact. Yeah. Okay. All right. Jordan, what do you think?
Actually, something that Casper just said really resonated with me. my expression also is sometimes changes a little bit based off of my environment and my comfort within that environment. So generally, I dress and am perceived as more masculine, but I also, like, my favorite, most affirming pieces in my wardrobe are like these Doc Martens with pink flowers or these really big statement earrings. And those make me feel like myself, especially when I'm wearing something more masculine. But if I am going into a place where I know isn't going to be as accepting, or I just don't know I how other people will react to my expression, I usually opt for as masculine as possible, and aim for stealth a little bit too. I recognize that I'm in a privileged situation to be able to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's another thing that we have not even really talked about. Different communities, different races, different ethnicities have different ways of presenting genders, and have different ways of being even perceived in public in different ways. So like some people like might not even feel like they have the opportunity to dress a specific way because of racism or other factors. So yeah, so gender is also so much more cultural than we are scratching the surface on this one. But those were really good points. Thanks. Rachel, do you have anything you want to share as well on your gender expression and how you share it?
Yeah, one interesting thing I've noticed is that what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy has changed over time. I definitely have had periods of time where I felt okay wearing things that were more feminine, and it lately has not felt okay to wear things that were more feminine. So I thought that was interesting that it's sort of changed. And I think that happens for a lot of people, where what you feel good in and what feels comfortable might change. We also had a person in our comments that said, I feel like a lot of people see the way I dress as more masculine because of how it's punk and edgy. I'm trans femme, but I feel like makeup is a big thing for gender for me, which I think is a great point. And my spouse actually um, is also trans femme, a demigirl, but doesn't dress overly feminine. And I think that it's interesting how that is viewed. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Carmela, what do you think?
So for me, expressing gender, while it does come a lot from like the kind of clothes I wear, like I wear a lot of button-ups, suits, that sort of stuff. It also like is a lot of it is also like just the way I move throughout the world, or like the way I physically like, I don't know, act, I guess. Like when I walk, I tend to walk with a more wider stance to like take up more space unless there's like a lot of people around, so that I try to be as respectful as possible. But typically like the way the way I move my hands, like the way I just move throughout the world is how I tend to be more masculine, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I also wanted to share a couple of things that I've been thinking about too, as I've been working with you all on this project. So I am also trans. I guess we never really introduced ourselves at the beginning. We really dropped the ball on that one. So everyone up here, trans, non-binary, trans and or non-binary, myself included. I'm a staff member, not a Titan. We
probably should introduce ourselves.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we do that now?
Yes,
Okay.
we totally should.
Yeah, so really quickly, just say who you are, your title, and your pronouns. We really dropped the ball. Rachel, go first.
I'm Rachel, also known as Bickle. My pronouns are they, them, and I work for Trans Families. I'm the development manager.
Okay, great. Can you pass me the... Are we seeing different screens?
I'm totally passing it to you. Why aren't you picking up what I'm putting down?
No, you're not, right?
I am.
They're not. No, your hand should be right. Am I the silly one? No. Okay. Put a thumbs up if Charlie is right. Put a thumbs down if Rachel's right. That's a little biased, but I'm gonna go with Charlie's right because you should. Okay, hand it to me over here. All right, there we go. Okay, yeah, hand me the torch. Okay, thank you so much. All right, my name's Charlie. My pronouns are he, him. I thought that was gonna be like a 10-second. That was 100 seconds. All right, and Charlie. My pronouns are he, him. I am our comms and media manager here at Trans Families. Jordan, I'm handing you the microphone.
Okay. I'm Jordan. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I am a Titan. I think I've been a Titan since one of the first cohorts. But yeah.
Thanks, Jordan. Kyoko, you want to go next?
Yes, I would love to. Hi, I'm Kyoko. I'm also one of the Titans. I go by they, them pronouns, and I'm new this past cycle. So nice to meet you.
Thank you. Carmela.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carmela. I use he, him pronouns. I have been a Titan since 2020, I believe. So, yeah.
Thank you. Casper.
I am Casper. You can use they for me if you want to. And I also have been in the last 2 Titan cohorts.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so now we're going to start our webinar. So if everyone can go to transfamilies.org. No, just kidding. Well, you should. Okay, if you're just joining, you should actually go. Let me put that back up. Yeah, so if you're just joining us and you want to play along and think more about your gender expression and identity and gender euphoria, which we're going to get to shortly, along with the rest of us, you can go to transfamilies.org/euphoria, download the worksheet, or you can go into the comments and you can click on it there. So I have been thinking a lot about 2 things. So I have been on testosterone for 13 years in April, and I started losing my hair at like 7 years, and I feel so many ways about it. I love having the masculinity of Charlie Day. I don't know if you know who Charlie Day is, but like people on TikTok comment Charlie Day on a lot of my videos, and I kind of like I like when my hair is kind of silly. It's always been kind of like part of my gender expression that it's like kind of unkempt, which my coworkers can certainly attest to now that we are remote. But losing it has been kind of interesting because I find it very euphoric to like see that in a lot of ways. Like, but there's also like I'm also already sad about my hair because it's also part of my gender expression, and so I'm having like these really interesting seemingly conflicting feelings about my hair. So right now we're just living, laughing, loving for while we have it, and we're just living our lives. So that's one thing. And then another thing I've been thinking about is yeah, so I can grow a beard, and so in the beginning of taking testosterone, man, like gender euphoria was like seeing any hair, and I realized recently, because I've been doing like the mustache thing, just like everybody else. Okay, sure, but I've been doing the mustache thing, and I was finding it so interesting how I feel really gender euphoric about the smooth face now. I mean, I love this too, but that was a really interesting realization I had the other day, and thinking a lot about how my gender expression has changed, and what makes me feel good over the years. So I don't know. So one thing that I would love to hear from folks in the comments as well is if you have noticed that your gender expression has changed, or any other interesting realizations. We're super loving all these comments coming in. So if you want to share anything about your gender expression, we'd love to hear it. And quick pause, just a reminder that we are here because we are here for our year-end fundraiser. We have to raise about a quarter of our operating budget for the next year in the next soon. So we would really appreciate any help that you can give us. Without Trans Families, we of course don't have programming like this. The Titans program can't exist. We can't have a new cohort in 2023. And so we appreciate any sort of help that you can give us to help us reach our goal to be able to continue and expand our programming in 2023. So that's at transfamilies.org/donate. Conveniently written on the bottom of the screen as well right now. Is there anything else anyone wants to say? Oh, we have a comment, and it says, yes, yeah, okay, great. Yeah, we have so many folks that are here. That's so great. Fantastic. Okay, so folks are still welcome to continue sharing about their gender expressions in the comments. And now we're going to get to the buzzword or the buzz phrase here. So we've learned about gender identity, which is your gender. We've learned about your gender expression, which is how you express your gender. And now we're going to talk about gender euphoria. And so gender euphoria is the joy, elation, relief, or comfort when a person's gender feels affirmed by themselves or by others. And here are a few trans non-binary people describing their gender euphoria. So these are a couple of quotes. Oh, wait, why don't we read them? Okay, who wants to read the first quote? I didn't prepare you for this at all. Okay, wait, okay, I'll just do it. All right. So the first quote is, I feel like others see the real me. Which I really, oh, you know what? If these quotes resonate with the Titans on screen and Rachel, give me like a thumbs up for like, oh my gosh, I like that one a lot, or like that feels like it could work, but maybe not for me. So I would like love to see your scale. Yeah. So the first one was, I feel like others see the real me. I feel like that's a big part of my gender euphoria. Ooh, Rachel's like a maybe. Carmela is like a maybe. Okay, cool. The second one is, it feels like a fog lifts. I think that happens a lot for me. Kyoko is like, no. That's great. And then the third one is feeling warm fuzzies all over. So that's another way. Yeah, and one of the reasons why we found and included these quotes is because describing gender euphoria is incredibly challenging. This is such an interesting workshop because there are so many ways you can look at gender euphoria and people have different definitions. So I would love to hear from one of you about why one of those resonated. And I can read them again if you need me to. Kyoko, are you trying to talk? Or are you just thinking and moving? Okay. Okay, so here, I'll read them again. So I feel like others see the real me.
I can
Yeah.
go. The first one, I feel like others see the real me. It's nobody could ever see the real me. I don't know what that looks like, but the least inaccurate possible version, when people can see that in like the way I want them to and understand it in the way I want them to, that feels really good.
So it's like when the translation works.
Yeah, it's like, it's a little bit like if you were having to like communicate through Google Translate with someone because neither of you speaks even a similar language, and the point gets across, and yes.
Okay, I want to ask Kyoko a question about that. And Kyoko, you don't have to answer this question. But so Casper is saying that gender euphoria for Casper can involve that translation. But Kyoko, you had a really interesting thing earlier because you said that you really enjoyed confusing people with your gender expression. And I'm curious, not that you two are fighting, but I'm curious. I'm curious to hear if I am like, if this isn't even related and these are two different planes of concepts and I'm wrong, but I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. No, I think I actually agree with Casper on this in the sense that it's like that is the gender that I'm trying to convey. Like the confusion is the point, and then if people are confused, then it is translating correctly. But yeah, I also wanted to add just on expression and like gender euphoria that like while like identity and expression and gender euphoria are often talked about in like trans specific spaces, that these things are not exclusive to just trans people, that cis people also feel all these things. Cis people also have, you know, a gender and express that gender in a certain way and can feel good in that gender in euphoric ways.
I thought of something I wanted to bring up around gender expression. I think a lot of the ways many people, especially cis people, do it, they wouldn't necessarily think about if they're thinking about things in the trans sense, because it's more like how you dress when you go to work. If you work in like a fancy office and you have to dress professionally, very different. You're putting on a costume. You're putting on a often strictly gendered costume of like you're wearing your suit and tie. It doesn't matter how you feel the rest of the time. That is the designated man costume and you must wear it. Or you're putting on your lipstick and your I don't know. The only thing that comes to mind is like your cocktail dress, but that's not work. That's black tie, whatever the other equivalent of that might be. But for many people have to do that, and I think for a lot of them, that's not how they feel. That's just they're wearing their suitable costume for the occasion.
Yes, and that is wow. You two really hit on one of the crux points that we were that me and Rachel were just talking about just today about this workshop. Basically, we were sort of thinking about this when we were conceptualizing this as the reason why we think so many trans and non-binary people think about gender euphoria and a lot of other people do not is because we often so heavily notice gender dysphoria. And so we're like it's like noticing the air around you. Like, you know, if you're in an elevator and you don't really notice the air until someone comes in and you can smell, like, I don't know, like maybe if they were, I don't know, what do people do? I don't know, like a perfume or something, right?
They
and then
just
you know,
mangled a skunk.
Right, they just got attacked by a skunk, which is so terrible for them. That stinks. Oh, that was good. Stinks. But like I think a lot of people just don't notice their gender euphoria because, like you're saying, Casper, it's just what they're doing because they've never really thought too much about it. And so,
because what does it feel like might be, instead of noticeably, oh, this my gender feels good, it might just be like, my hair looks just right and I love it, or oh, I love the way these pants fit me.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely.
When people feel attractive, that's very, very often tied to gender.
I think you're very right. Yeah, one of the ways that we were thinking about, one way you could describe gender euphoria is, when do you feel like, ooh, I am so cute. Like, I love everything about me is just, oof, like I love everything that I'm wearing. Or not everyone, of course, not everyone experiences that ever, of course, right? Like, so, but yeah, a lot of it, right, was like, when do you feel attractive and like you're presenting your best self? And for a lot of people, that comes up in those gendered spaces wherein people have to put on fancier or nicer clothing. Yeah. Which is actually, does anyone else have any thoughts on this before we actually move to the first exercise? Because that was a good segue, but I don't want to cut anyone off. All right, cool. Okay, great. So this is, let's see, we got that. Yeah. So gender euphoria is most often discussed by trans and non-binary people, but anyone can experience it. And in fact, you, listener, if you are not trans and or non-binary, you've probably felt gender euphoria, but you didn't even know it at the time. So what we're going to do now is, if you go back to the third box that you filled in, that was the ways that you express your gender, and the ways that you enjoy it. So you're going to look at that list, and what you're going to do is you're going to try to think of a time when you were really embodying those characteristics. Would anyone, how about, how about Jordan, perhaps? Would you like to tell us what characteristics you wrote down, and a memory or a time when that was really connecting for you?
Sure. The one that first came to mind was actually a fairly recent experience. I go to music school. We very frequently host a lot of music festivals for middle school and high schools. And I had to work several days for one of these. And they just expect that you come dressed professionally. They don't like give out a dress code. And then you're doing a lot of speaking to audiences. And it usually involves a lot of grumpy parents fussing over their child like getting certain awards. And so I knew, thinking about what I was going to wear, like parents and other people around me, they were going to be mad and grumpy anyway. There was nothing I could do about it. Like I might as well look and feel powerful doing it. Um, and so I just wore what felt most affirming to me. It ended up being like a pink button down, like these huge earrings that look like curtain. I don't even know what to call them. And then my flower Doc Martens, bunch of other stuff. I even had my pronouns on my shirt. And it just felt really liberating to be able to walk through a professional space looking and feeling like that. Um, and it felt honestly like um, I felt a little bit invincible. Yeah.
Wow, invincible. That's a really good word. Yeah, you just feel like your body is made of armor sometimes, right? That was good. I love that we got to hear about the flower Doc Martens again. That was great. Uh, we love a callback. How about Carmela? Do you want to share?
Sure. I feel like I've talked about this before, but I had a moment way back, like in my childhood, when I went to Victoria's Secret with my dad to get an anniversary present for my mom. And it was really funny because because he's just a really tall, black, very cis man. And you don't see that just in Victoria's Secret. So just going in there with my dad, and he just like goes up to this lady and starts asking her about panties, and I'm just like, this is really good. This is a fun time. We're just here, man, just looking for women's underwear. This is really cool. So that was probably it. That's my story.
Yeah, that sarcasm. So you're saying that it's cool, but it didn't feel cool. I'm gonna just
Oh
assume.
no, it did. For me, it was
Okay,
cool.
I couldn't tell by your voice. Okay, sorry, I totally misread your. That's why I'm so glad I asked for clarification. You were like, no, it really was cool, Charlie. You were
Yeah.
not listening very well. Okay, great. Which is so interesting because when I was I remember feeling so uncomfortable even walking by the Victoria's Secret store in the mall. I was like, something is wrong. So it's so funny that we've had different experiences with um, Victoria's Secret, I guess, or like just really gendered spaces in terms of our own. Yeah, totally.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Like, was how you felt about like seeing your dad confidently in that space, or about you being in there, or what?
Um, well, since growing up, I've been kind of forced to understand that being a man is one thing and being a woman is another thing. And if you're a man, you can't do this, and if you're a woman, you can't do that. So seeing like my dad kind of break a boundary that I've never experienced before was what I was experiencing, and I realized like even though I seem or look like or pass as a woman at that time, um, as long as you like see yourself as who you are and just do whatever you want, you know, you are who you are. That's all that matters. So whether you look like a woman, whether you look like a guy, just be confident with it. Just go do your thing. I don't know.
I really like that.
Casper, I'm really glad you asked that clarifying question because I didn't realize that was a question that I needed clarified, and I'm really glad you talked more about that. That is, oof, that's really good. That's really cool, Carmelo.
Thank you.
No, thank you for sharing. Casper, do you wanna throw out some of your thoughts on? Actually, you know what? Before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the comments because we got some really interesting ones.
Yeah, I was just gonna break in with a couple comments if you
Yeah,
don't
why don't you do
mind.
that, Rachel?
Just because, first of all, we had somebody. This is for Jordan. It came through right after Jordan shared. Thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. Love that you felt invincible. Sorry, I almost said invisible. Invincible, and I think that invincibility is something that resonated with me as well because that's that feeling you get. Also, somebody talking about the first time I noticed my gender euphoria, I didn't know what it was, just noticed I felt positive feelings, was when I was younger and decided I wanted my haircut really short to look like a boy, and I didn't understand why it felt really nice, but it just knew that it did. Um, so yeah, I wanted to share that one. And then somebody just saying, I think it's sweats for me for a costume. Um, sometimes that is. Sometimes that is the costume.
No, I thought the person was saying the default gender, or the opposite of when you're putting on a costume of gender.
Yeah.
For them is sweats, and
Yeah. That's what I
I think that's true for a lot of us.
Yes. Cozy pants. Thank
Yeah, for sure. Great. Yeah. So Casper, yeah, we'd love to hear more about your thoughts on a time that you experienced all of a bunch of different facets of gender expression that you really enjoyed, all converging into one moment or event for you.
I unfortunately can't think of a specific one, but a lot of the time it's either when I come up with a costume or role and do a really successful job of portraying it to people, or when I confuse them and I'm trying to.
So I like that you can't think of something specific, so a time specifically, Casper, because there are two ways that folks can answer this question if they're struggling to think of a time. So they can think of a time.
I can think of a specific time. I'll let you finish first.
Okay, great. Yeah, I realized I really didn't say this also. So okay, we'll come back to that. But if you can't think of a specific time on your worksheet, then you can also think of a specific. If you can't think of the moment, then you can write about what that moment might look like for you. So maybe you can imagine a time where you're like, oh, like maybe on this big event that I might have, or there's this jean jacket that I really want that I think I would look really cool in, or maybe you're like, my moment of gender euphoria would be being Bruce Springsteen. I don't know. This is up to you. So it's whatever you think gender euphoria could look like for you. So Casper, I would love for you to share a specific moment.
The one that came to mind was a drunk saxophone player came up to me and was like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And the drunk part is relevant just because most people aren't comfortable asking you that to your face, at least where I am. That gave him the opportunity to feel that was something that was appropriate to ask. But I loved the confirmation of, yes, people can't tell right now.
Wow. Haven't we all had that experience with a drunk saxophone player? It's classic trans non-binary experience. Every street corner. Is anyone else? Kyoko, you haven't shared, have you?
No, I haven't. Yeah, so I guess like a specific moment for me, like consistent with my thing of confusing people with gender. It was like this one time I was like checking out at like QFC, just like groceries, whatever, what do you do in a grocery store? And there was like this kid and his mom that like just walked past me. They were just like pushing their cart. And like as I was walking past them, I could see the kid just like staring at me, just like, what is happening? And then as they passed, I just heard like, just like, oh, just like a little bit where he was just like asking his mom, like, oh, what is that person? How, what? So yeah, like for me, that confusion and like opening the eyes to gender to someone else was like really euphoric.
Yeah, thank you. That reminded me of I feel really gender euphoric when I am biking, which I don't know that I really love biking, and I feel like I feel the most powerful when I'm biking, especially because my bike has no gears on it right now, so I feel really powerful because it's harder to get up hills. And when I was in college, I got my first road bike. And as I mentioned, I'm a pretty short person, and so it's often easier if I just buy women's things, which is fine. So I had purchased a women's road bike, but you couldn't tell that because bikes have different like geometries. You couldn't really tell that it was a women's bike. So otherwise, I probably wouldn't have bought it. Now I might, but at the time I certainly would not have, because I was really having trouble with people reading my correct gender as male at this time in my life. And I took my bike into the bike shop because I had purchased it on eBay. And I brought it into the bike shop, and they were assembling it for me. And the shopkeeper said to me, "Whoa, man, this is a woman's bike." And then he was immediately reading me as male, though, and he starts like joking with me, and he's like, "Oh no, the estrogen's gonna seep into the seat, and you're gonna become a woman." And I was like, "Wow," because it was one of my first like palling around moments but I was like, if I open my mouth, like, is that gonna end? Like, what's gonna happen? And I don't know. I just kind of played with him, and it was fine. He had no reason to suspect that I was anything other than a man, I guess. So much so that he was really confident in making jokes about it in a really friendly way. And it was so I think that gender euphoria for me is yeah, that translation feels really good. And I also remember like the outfit I was wearing, and I remember thinking like, oh, this outfit is really good, like it's giving exactly what I need into the world. So yeah, so those moments are really fun. So yeah, if folks have any more comments or any more thoughts in the comments, we would love to hear more about your moments where these things have really converged. Does anyone else have anything that they want to say before we keep chatting about this in general?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about a time that's similar to Kyoko's, actually, where sometimes when I go out, I often get perceived as queer or trans, but not always. But when my spouse and I go out, it's like we exponentially lifted the amount of queer and transness because we're both very queer and trans looking. And so sometimes when we go out together, we get all kinds of interesting stares and things. She's giggling at me right now because she probably knows which story I'm going to say. Yes. We were at the park like a couple weeks ago, and we're walking along, and we drove to this new park we had never been to, and there were all these little families, and there was some kind of family reunion going on. They were playing like baseball, I don't know, and taking pictures in front of a barn that just happened to be at the park. And we're walking along, and we get to a bridge, and we start walking across the bridge, and there's this family across the bridge, two parents that look like a mom and a dad, and then two little kids that look like a little boy and a little girl. And the mom like kind of holds them back to let us go first, I guess, because we can't all exist on this bridge at once, even though I had plenty of room. And then does the whole hi, hi, like really uncomfortable laugh. And the dad's like looking anywhere but at us. And then as we're walking by, the two little kids are just like it was this moment of, and you could just see on their faces like, this exists. Like it didn't look like horror or oh my gosh, what the heck. It really looked like for one of them especially, it looked like this exists. This is a thing that exists, and we were just like, yeah, that's what it's about, right? it was a lovely moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a huge seeing possibility models in public. People just like, especially when there's so much fear mongering about us, when we're really just vibing, like I'm getting a bagel in the morning. I'm not doing anything to like, I'm just hanging out. And I love specifically wearing, I have a couple of like noisy trans shirts that like make it very clear that I'm trans. And I love wearing those to the grocery store because I love the idea that somewhat like a young person, or actually anybody really, could see me and be like, huh, and like maybe see something in the bagel I'm eating and be like, I also love egg and cheese bagels. Maybe I should think about my gender, which of course is how most weekends go.
What we all do, right?
Yeah, but I love being when you want your gender expression to be more not just about just about your transness in general, or you want your transness to be visible if it isn't always visible, that can be really fun. So we're almost at the end here. So we have one more question formally, and we're of course still loving all the comments coming in. But so basically what we just outlined, those moments where a lot of really nice gender expression for you converges, that could be gender euphoria for you. As we've sort of alluded to explicitly and implicitly throughout this workshop, gender euphoria means 100,000 different things, which is why we were almost like, can we even do this workshop? Like, what even is gender euphoria? It's like when you look at a word for too long, what does it mean? And so gender euphoria could mean a whole lot of different things for a lot of different people. And so if you wrote down a moment, or you can think of a moment, or maybe you're just planting seeds and you're just listening to this while you're doing dishes, and you're like, I am not doing this worksheet. Well, maybe tomorrow when you're driving to get a bagel, you will maybe you'll have like kind of an interesting epiphany. But yeah, so even if you're not doing the worksheet, we would still love your thoughts. So we have one more question here. And Casper, I'd love you to start us out with this. So and it's okay if you don't have an answer quite yet, or if you're like, I don't even, the answer is no. We think that everyone can, no, actually no. Well, Casper, I would love for you to answer this question if you can. I'm just going to say the question. All right. So thinking about your gender expression, your gender euphoria, Casper, are there any ways that you are curious about exploring your gender or gender expression and gender euphoria? A couple of ideas that we thought of ways that you could explore it. And this might not be all relevant for this group, but these are just some examples. So someone, if they wanted to try out different gender expressions, euphoria, they could try out maybe trying a different nickname for your coffee order so that someone calls out a different name and you get to answer. Maybe playing a different character in a game, a different gender character in a game. That could be kind of an interesting feel, see what happens. So like, a video game or a role-playing game, or just picking a different color. I think life, don't you pick a gender? I don't know, whatever. Different games, different ways you could try that out. And another idea was trying out like a new hairstyle that maybe feels gendered, or because a lot of hair is gendered, but a lot of different ways that you could maybe play around with your gender expression. Casper, are there any things that you have thought of that you're like, I kind of want to try this? And if you don't, first.
One that comes to mind, which this I just do, but it's one I think everybody should try. Go take the bus somewhere, or the subway or train or metro if you have one of those instead, and change how you occupy the space and how you like when you acknowledge the driver when you get on, how you do it, whether you do you smile at them, do you nod at them, do you just sort of walk right past them because it's busy, but how do you exist around the other people? And try changing it and see how it feels.
Oh, what a great answer. This is why earlier I said that I wouldn't let the Titans tell me all their answers. I would not let them tell me anything about their gender euphoria, because this is great. What an interesting answer to that question. I loved it. Carmela, do you have one or some thoughts?
It's a little hard to top what Casper said. Maybe like try wearing, I don't know, wear something you wouldn't usually wear. Like if you wear dresses, wear a suit or something. I'm not really sure. Honestly, just like try switching it up with anything in your life. As long as you're not hurting yourself. Please don't hurt yourself. But like wearing something crazy, don't even worry about social anxiety. Just go for it. Just do something spontaneous.
Yeah, I love it. I'm thinking a little bit as you were talking about how I like maybe twice a year, I'm like, I want to paint my nails, and it's a really good idea. And then I look down right afterwards and I'm like, I hate this. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about. But I try it on I literally try it on sometimes and then regret it every time for some reason. But I think I like the idea. I don't know. More to unpack there, but maybe
that's another one that works great. And if you're like really uncomfortable with if anybody can see you did it, you have feet and those are often inside shoes. Like no one will ever know if you don't want them to. So if you like the idea but you're very uncomfortable with if anybody else knows about this, you have extra nails.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
I could not tell you. I'm sorry.
Also, just like adding on to like the thing about nails, like the first time I ever wore polish, it was like a clear polish, just like here. So it's like no one else knew, but like I knew, and that's like a really cool moment. And like I just happen to have a thing on top of like right here. So just go to your local drugstore. It's like I don't know how much this was, like $3 or something. But yeah, that's like a really easy way to get into it. Another thing I would say is I know shopping, especially if you're trans and going into like physically shopping is very difficult. But I think a lot of like for me personally, I found a lot of gender euphoria in trying on a different cut of shirt. So like men's and women's cuts slightly different, not massively different, but they are different. And so just like shopping online and just like getting a different cut of shirt and seeing how that fell on my body and looking in the mirror and seeing like how that made me feel was like a really good way to like explore my own gender euphoria.
Yeah, that's a great point in that it can be challenging to, I mean, we sort of touched at this, but it can be challenging to try out different gender expressions due to comfort, due to feelings of physical safety, where you feel like you have access. But I really like your suggestions, Kyoko, too, of like, if you feel these anxieties, there's still ways that you can try on clear nail polish, or you can do internet shopping if you don't feel like comfortable walking into the mall and looking at the clothes that you want to wear. So those are really good alternatives. That was great. Thanks.
Another option for like finding clothes if you don't feel comfortable going into a different section and buying something, Goodwill, because nobody in there cares to the point that they will just sigh if you're shoplifting.
Maybe
they have other things to worry about. Please don't shoplift from Goodwill. It's not nice, but
no, we're not. Yeah, we are not condoning shoplifting. But one thing, Casper, that it's so interesting. So I'm thinking about like, especially in Goodwill, a lot of people are like, I often like, if I need like a yellow shirt for a party, I'm going to go to Goodwill and get a yellow shirt at Goodwill, right? Or like a lot of people are just sort of looking at different things in Goodwill, right? Everyone's sort of everywhere. There's often chaos, and so that's a great that's a great idea. I think too, like this is sort of random, but I'm making my brother's new baby a puppet, like a Muppet style puppet. And so I wanted to get it fun clothes. And so I went to the baby section of Target to look at baby clothes to purchase for my puppet. And I was like, I feel so weird over here because like, I don't know, like, are people going to think that I am a dad? And then I was like, actually, it doesn't matter. Like, I could be buying this for a puppet or a baby or anyone else's baby, or an American Girl doll. I don't know. And so, like, of course, we can feel discomfort in places, but also, ultimately, people don't often care what other people are doing, So not all the time, of course, but I think we do get a little nervous about it when other people aren't necessarily caring.
Most people will make some assumption about what you're doing, but most assumptions are innocuous. Like, picture if you saw someone who looked like you doing that same thing, what would you think? You'd think like, oh, they're at Goodwill, they need some rags or something. Oh, yeah. They're probably like a present, or oh, maybe they have a kid.
Why is that guy eating a bagel at Goodwill? Yeah. A lot of thoughts.
I was going to mention too, going with friends can be really helpful for shopping as well.
If you need an excuse to go in a different gendered section from usual, bring a friend who appears to be that gender to the world, and there's your excuse. Well, what am I going to do? Stand here and wait while my friend walks into this section? So, no, clearly you have a reason to be there.
Right. Yeah. Oh gosh. Has everyone shared thoughts? No. Jordan, did you share?
What I was going to say has mostly been addressed already. I think, especially going off of thrifting, I like the idea, if you are able to, of just putting together a random outfit or finding a piece of clothing that you wouldn't normally consider. And if you hate it, then you hate it, that's fine. But if you like it, then that's just another thing that you enjoy. It could also look like borrowing a friend's clothing. And then another thing that came to mind was trying different hobbies or activities that we typically assign gender expectations to. Yes, losing my train of thought now.
Yeah, those were all great. Yeah, I think too, a lot of what we're talking about, I mean, is the question, but let's, to make it explicit, we're talking about trying things out. And I think one thing that there are very few things in the world that are permanent. I mean, that's not actually a statement that is true at all. Let me rephrase that. you can try out different gender expressions, and then it can be not permanent if you want it to be. That's a better statement. That makes more sense. A lot of these things are, you're not changing your name tomorrow necessarily. You're just trying on nail polish or like whatever is going on. And yeah, I mean, not that, I don't know. I think that there are just a lot of different ways that people can think about their gender euphoria, even if they're not trans and non-binary. So you're not necessarily moving around too much as a person, maybe, but like, this culture can be quite prescriptive in terms of who can do what. And there are a lot of people around us who are very joyous doing different things that maybe they wouldn't have been allowed to as kids because of those prescriptive gender roles. So, yeah. So if we would also continue to love to hear people in the comments talking more about their gender expression, euphoria. Rachel.
Yes.
Do you want to do like an update on the fundraiser while we maybe see some replies coming in on the questions we were just asking?
Yeah, so just to recap a little bit, we are raising funds for our 2023 programming. We set a goal of $130,000, and at the beginning of the broadcast, we were at 77% of our goal, and we are now at 78% of our goal. So, woo! We have got a ways to go. So please, if you are watching and you've enjoyed this broadcast, please give us a donation to help us fund that 2023 programming. We have all kinds of things coming up next year. This fundraiser is actually a quarter of our operating budget, and so we really need the support of all our friends like you. So please help us out by going to transfamilies.org/donate, which we can put there. Boop. I booped it.
You beat me.
I beat you because you were updating the thermometer. I knew that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Transfamilies.org/donate will help fund our wonderful programs like the Titans, our youth community space, also our programs for parents and caregivers of trans non-binary youth. So please help us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, okay. Well, does anyone else have any more thoughts? Titans or someone in the comments, I have no idea about my gender expression. I just know that I like short hair. That's a lot of information, honestly. Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, one thing that, you could, this first question, right? Consider your own gender. Do you identify as a male, female, something else? Someone might not be able to answer that question and then answer every other question on this. Like this is not a prescriptive worksheet. There are just a lot of ways, and you can change throughout your lifetime in terms of how you answer or experience any of these questions too. Yeah, this person is just, I don't wear dresses, it looks like. So that, yeah.
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 I don't either.
Yeah. Time of my life. Well, gosh, is there anything else that we want to talk about?
Yes.
In terms of, yes. Yep.
In terms of what? The worksheet? No, but we were going to move to.
No, we're done with the worksheet.
No. We are done with that. No, I'm sorry. I did not mean to be quite so forceful about it. I just wanted to make sure we get the next thing because I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, we got a couple more minutes. And so if folks in the comments want to continue dropping their thoughts, that'd be great. And now we have, I'm really excited about this part too. Yeah, do you want to introduce it, Rachel?
We just asked our Titans here that have joined us this evening if they could share one of their favorite moments from Titans this year. So we were going to go around and ask if you could just share something you really loved this year about being in Titan.
And to recap for folks that are maybe just joining us, Titan is our youth leadership development program, Trans Youth Taking Action Now, Titan. Participants are Titans, so the Titan program has Titans. So these four folks are four of our Titans from our 2022 cohort, and we just opened applications for our 2023 cohort, which is really exciting. So it is youth between the ages of 14 and 19 can apply. And they do have to have a parent or guardian who is a member of trans families. And if you want to learn more about how to become a member so that you and your child can access our programming of any age. So we have stuff for like younger youth, and then we have Titans, for you all. So we have a lot of different types of programs. So you have, yeah. So, okay, wait. Okay, yeah. So Titans application opening up. So yeah, we would love to hear what moment that you've enjoyed from your Titan experience.
I can volunteer to go first because I actually thought of something for once. My
They did.
favorite moment in just the past year of Titans is it was in the one of the like monthly support groups for teenagers. One of the kids has been in there pretty frequently for, I don't know, I've seen him for about 2 years, and like being able to be in the facilitator position and see someone growing from like into being confident in their trans self and moving to the position of being there to give advice and help out the younger kids too. I've never got to see somebody do that before, but that was amazing.
I have to say that we've watched all of you do that, with watching the Titan program. So it's very cool.
Well, hey, I've only been involved with trans families in some way for 7 years now.
Right. Yeah. Just a little bit.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Casper. Yeah, I think one thing that I really like about the Titan program is that you get opportunities to learn about youth leadership and do things as a group, but then you also get to branch out a little bit and help others that are younger than you, which is really, really cool. That's an experience a lot of you have had. Not to make you less special, just saying how cool it is.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah.
For me, my favorite part is almost always our webinar that we host called Let's Talk Gender. Let's see, I think one of our more recent episodes was Let's Talk Disability. It definitely didn't go quite as planned, but I personally got a lot out of it, and I think our audience members also did.
Well, I think, okay, it's so funny that you say it didn't go as planned, because I think the plan is that you all discuss what makes sense in Let's Talk Gender. It's sort of like a web series that you all do, and I like when it devolves into like a little bit less about the outline you were going for, because it means that your conversation is really authentic. So I don't know, I like that. They're always great. Anybody else have anything to share they like about being a Titan?
Yeah, I can go. It is only my first year being a Titan here. But yeah, I have to say I agree with Casper. That I think, I don't know, a lot of my favorite moments from being here has been facilitating these groups, of being the person that I wish I had when I was just coming into my own, discovering my own gender, figuring out how I wanted to express myself and all these things. And a lot of the time it's I wish there was someone who was like me, who was a resource and was just a positive person in that experience. And I think, yeah, just it brings me a lot of joy to be able to be that person for just other trans youth.
Well, we love when trans and non-binary youth feel joy, so that's great. That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else have anything to share?
Sure, I can share. So inside of Titans, we have a couple of inside jokes, and one of them's about blobfishes, beans, and cows. And one of the really cool things that happened was we all got to hang out together outside of the group And we went to, I don't know if y'all are from Seattle in the crowd, but there's a store called Archie McPhee. We all got to meet up there, and they had like a whole, Naja, one of the leaders, set up like a whole little exhibit that had like weird blobfish stuff, and it was just really cool getting to like hang out with everyone and just bond over blobfishes. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So for a little bit of history for folks that don't know, so Trans Families used to be local to Seattle, and we expanded in the last few years to be national, which is why we're virtual. Why we're virtual now, so that everyone can access across the country who needs us, and goes through a membership process, an application process. So there are a lot of youth in Seattle, and so so sometimes there are in-person events that just sort of happen. There was an event recently where a lot of folks got to go on a sailing trip for like a couple overnight. Did any of you go on that sailing trip?
No.
Okay. Yeah. If honestly, I would have known, because the people that have said it to me in the first 10 minutes of us meeting, because they had so much fun on that sailing trip. So it's good that you all didn't know, because I would have been weird if I hadn't heard about it yet. So, and of course we have access to exclusive stuff online as well, and sometimes stuff in person as well. Yeah, which sort of works out sometimes. So yeah, lots of opportunities for cool activities with the Titans.
I do want to say too that Nadia was in the comments earlier and said, "I'm sending love," but she had to work, so she just popped into the comments for a minute just to send love.
Yeah.
Nadia, if you watch this later.
Nadia.
There you go.
Nadia. I just want to point out as well that one of the funding levels on our fundraiser is funding a Titan for a year. So if you go to transfamilies.org/donate, you can see that level on there of funding a Titan. If you like these Titans and we like these Titans,
Just
then
think you could have your own personal
you
Titan.
can have a Titan. You can. No, you can't have a Titan.
Can't have a Titan.
No, they're exclusive.
Yeah.
Yes. But you can fund our Titan program, fund one person in the Titan program for a year if you go to that website and donate. So please help.
Yeah. Programming like this is only available if Trans Families exists, and so any help that you can give to help us reach our fundraising goal would be great. Well, cool beans. Does anyone else have any final thoughts before? I can't believe we've done this for 2 hours. I feel like we've been doing it for 10 minutes. I have 100 things I want to talk about, but I can't do it.
I want to give a final shout out to Charlie for
thank you.
Putting this together, and also to Simon, who couldn't be here tonight. Simon, we love you, and we're sorry you couldn't be here, but yes. Simon helped coordinate a lot of this as well.
Yeah, Simon did a lot of the behind the scenes work on this one. Yeah, and so did my Wi-Fi in the second half. So
yeah,
a lot of heroes today. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you all so much for coming. This has been so fun for me and hopefully everyone else. Folks that watched, we would love to hear your feedback. So yeah, let us know either by email or through the feedback form. If you really liked this, you can send us an email about it. Yeah, let us know how you feel about this. And thank you all so much for coming. And yeah, this is a part of our fundraiser, so if you can give, that would be fantastic. And everyone else, wave, bye.